wake of October 7th.
Yeah.
So can you talk to me about why you wanted to do that interview? I mean, it was sort of, like I said, 10 days after October 7th happens. Was it to do with sort of media narratives, presenting a counter sort of viewpoint? Why was it that you wanted to go and speak to Piers?
Well, I didn't want to. I was actually offered to come on to Piers Morgan show 5 days before, and I said no twice. And for the third time, I said yes. And then they canceled on me quite a couple of times because they were having other people going
Revenge.
But it actually, I should have been on that show a week before. And I couldn't because I didn't know what to say, because the media narrative was set up in a way that, like, you're going to be burned if you come and talk about anything other than the Israeli point of view. But then 10 days in, I saw the narrative and I saw that, like, the lies were so obvious. And being, like, looking at things from the outside, it's like something was not checking out. Something is not working. And you know, the little bit of research, and I see the lies and the stuff that they were using in order to justify killing so many people was just crazy. Like, oh, Israel is the only military in the world that warns civilians before they bomb us. Like, what kind of excuse is that? You know, the same thing that they say about the Israeli army. The Israeli army is the most moral army in the world because they are a vegan army, which is and it's like you can write a whole like routine about that.
Yeah,
because,
you could, yeah.
They use biodegradable bullets, reusable body bags.
Yeah, nice.
You know,
sustainable
missiles. You know, it's like we should celebrate that. Yeah, go Israel. It's just, what the hell is this? This is farce. This is farce, and just like people are like what people on the Western media platform are like nodding, yes. But then they bring in like an Arab. Do you condemn Hamas? Are you serious? It's just like, and I saw all of this, and I said, like, wait a minute. You're just talking about like the killing of Gaza, and that's normal. What about the West Bank, where there's no Hamas? And I talk about this in many interviews. I talk about the banality of evil, how people are just accepting so many things, take it as normal. I mean, when I was on that interview, like with Piers Morgan, we didn't even hit the 3,000 death mark at the time. Now we're 33,000. We're just people have been so desensitized. And they're like, when I was there, we were talking about who bombed the El Ahli hospital. Is it Israel, or is this a misfire by a Hamas rocket? Since then, Israel bombed 36 hospitals. And there is nothing. It is like fine. And because there's always a justification. There is a Hamas base underneath the hospital. Do you have a proof? Yes, here's a CGI video. That's it. And we have to take Israel account for anything, but we don't speak. It's just the fact that the Western media that has lectured us for years about transparency and journalistic integrity, they're just like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we're going to act stupid and let it go. It's just like very stupid. So maybe even within the first 10 days, it was enough for me to say, wait a minute, that's stupid. This is very stupid. How are you people like accepting that? So I just went there. I said, like, how many people should we kill? As many as you can. I went on with everything that they said, and it just, people say, wait a minute, that's stupid. How are you accepting this?
So basically, when we talk about IDF and the way they conduct those operations after receiving billions of dollars in aid from the States and from the European countries, is something really, really shocking. An army that has all these sophisticated weapons, manpower, you name it, and total control over Gaza, absolute control over Gaza, they could actually destroy Hamas in a matter of just days. But they failed miserably. And the reason for that is because not the money, is not because of the weapon. It is because this army is a diaper army. They are a vegan army. And Bassem Youssef said it right. They are a vegan army. They do not know how to face real men. So when Hamas comes out, they run away. If they had the courage, if they were real army and not a bunch of, cowards, they would have gone into Hamas's tunnels, but they don't go there. If they had been in Hamas's tunnels, today there will be no Hamas. But they are so afraid, they're so terrified. What they do is they go on a fighter jet, they go on a tank, and then they just destroy everything they see, including their own people.
The thing that's very striking for me at the moment is the fact that international journalists are not allowed into Gaza right now, which is, a revealing fact, right? If you don't want...
It's been for 6 months, and even the only one who's there, who's Al Jazeera, has been labeled by Israel as a terrorist terrorist organization, and we have okay, yes, master, yes, of course, yes, whatever you say.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, that's so stupid. Why is the Muslim media so emasculated when it comes to Israel?
Yeah.
Why do they do? Where do their balls go? Where they're all like their fiery opening statements about Russia and Ukraine, but when it comes to Israel, oh no, so it's okay, of course, yes, they're terrorists, they're collateral damage.
It was really interesting to me for two reasons, right? The first, because I think I saw you talking about this another time, and you sort of said that really the talking points you went on there, you didn't even think that you were sort of did like an incredible performance, right? That the talking points, the things you were talking about, actually were the things that a lot of people say to each other, right? But it's just not represented in the Western media.
Yeah.
So you didn't feel like it was like some crazy thing that you'd done, and then obviously it does like 22 million views or whatever. But that contrast with Ukraine, I think, is revealing, right? Because I think either our morality is universal and you can take issue with military aggression, regardless of who the victims of it are, or your morality isn't universal.
Yeah, I listen. I mean, the thing is, the quiet part that should be said out loud is that people don't care about Palestinians and they look at them as lesser human beings. Forget Gaza, forget Hamas, forget the proportionate response. In the West Bank, since 7th of October, 495 people were killed. 100 of them were children in the West Bank. And that is normal because we have been so desensitized by the 33,000 people. Who cares about 100 people dead? You see how the banality of evil, how people just like get used to it, and it becomes like a regular thing. People look about, but it's the hostage. There are what, 70 hostages, 30 hostages? What?
130, I think.
130 hostages? Yeah. Well, in Israeli prisons there are 5,000 Palestinians. Half of them are not even accused of anything. That's 5,000 hostages. 5,000. But it's okay. It's normal. People just accept it and go on. Nobody talks about them because these are hostages. When you go in and you kidnap people from other people's homes and you put it in your prisons, that's not a prisoner. That's a hostage. When you displace like more than 1,200 people from their homes on daily basis, that is not normal. But yet people just accept it and forget about it. The fact that Palestinian farmers cannot actually get any part of the land for agriculture outside of Area C, which is the most fertile part of the West Bank. And Palestinians cannot have a land there. Can you imagine? They have to go on. And you know that you can't even dig for wells. You can't dig for wells in the West Bank. I'm not talking about Gaza because Gaza is evil. It's
insane.
Hamas, you know. But like there, like in the West Bank, you can't even dig a well. You can't even increase the depth of your well. An Israeli settler have 5 times the amount of water per capita than a Palestinian, and people just have to live with that. It's like, yeah, it's normal. It's okay.
Okay, so another thing that I just want to point out, guys, the Western media, they spoke about the Western media being silent on the Israeli-Palestinian issue. These days, 99% of Western media, including Piers Morgan's show, they talk about U.S. politics. Now, this is a huge distraction, if you do not know this. The assassination attempt on Trump was a huge distraction. And I kind of believe the Western media, the Western propaganda machine has intentionally set this up, that the president will be assassinated. Because if you take a look at the assassination attempt, by the way, we're against any violence, but if you take a look at what happened, this guy, he was trying to kill like Donald Trump, but he survived, and the bullet went through his ears. I mean, and the Secret Service did do nothing. And even though they saw the guy, and the Secret Service had the weapon pointing at him and looking at the guy, at the shooter, and they did nothing, is something very preposterous. Doesn't make any sense. So I think this is an attempt to distract people away from Gaza issue, away from the genocide happening. And this could well be set up by the Zionist entity, AIPAC. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're behind this because they know that Israel lost this war, this battle, miserably. There is no way anybody can argue about that. There is no way anybody can come on a stage and debate about this. It's not a matter of debate. It's a fact that they have committed genocide, and Israel's reputation, whatever they had, remained all gone. So the only way they could actually distract people from the real issue of Gaza is by setting up a stage for Donald Trump to be assassinated. And these are, to me, looks like very, very shady work. So it doesn't make any sense to me at all. That's my point. And therefore, we need to be careful, even though they are trying to distract. And 99% of the Western media talks about Donald Trump, and the election in the States. Yes, you can talk about the States election, but what about the Palestinian children? What about the genocide taking place in Gaza? Every single day there is bombing. Did Netanyahu send that shooter to shoot at Donald Trump? Possible. I don't know. But possible, because this guy, Netanyahu, is very, very powerful. The Israeli lobby is so powerful. They can do something big. I mean, 9/11 was inside job. It was done by the Zionists, and they put the blame on the Muslims. We Muslims don't believe in violence, but they scapegoat the Muslims, the Muslim community. And so, again, something you really have to be careful about, because these days there are a lot of deceptions taking place. Bassem Youssef, I hope that these guys will be safe and sound, because you never know. He's becoming a big problem for the Zionists. Bassem Youssef, Mehdi Hassan, his media, Zeteo is becoming a big, big problem with the Zionists.